Good to go.
All right. Yeah, appreciate everyone's time here. I'm sharing my screen. You guys should see our main website here at HaulHub. So HaulHub's the company. EDOT is our centralized e-ticket portal that agencies are using. And you should also see my phone here. So we're going to go over, obviously, and emphasize how you, as an inspector and engineer out in the field, can view and mark and receive through your inspection process, material delivery tickets. And if you've never downloaded our app, then if you go to your app store, you just search for e.inspector, click open, and that's where you can log in at. Your all's access is managed from Headlight that feeds our system on a daily basis. So if you're wondering if you have access or not, you probably do. You might need a new invite if you received one sometime in the past and missed it or never logged in. So just reach out to Les and myself directly, and we'll make sure that you get a fresh invite if you need to. That'll come to your email. Before I really jump into the mobile side, I do want to just kind of touch on how our platform's structured. So we have one cloud-based centralized ecosystem. Under that, there are portals and platforms for different entities. So the agency has their own mobile app and website of the portal. General contractors have their own, and then the material suppliers who or producers who own the plants. That's where we're getting the data from, straight from. So they have their own instance, and once we integrate with their plant or with a vendor they might use for e-ticketing, say, Command or Fleet Watcher, etc. Either way, we got to get connected with a source that ties back to their loadout. And then once we do, then that information is just transmitting in real time into our system for their account. And then they permission on a project level basis all tickets under a specific job number to be in view for you all as the inspector, as well as the general contractor or prime or sub, if those folks are the ones actually contracted out with you all at DOTD. So I will expand my mobile side here, and then I'm going to actually showcase the current live portal for Louisiana. And so when you get logged in on the E.Dot Inspector app, then you will be prompted for the first time to set up an e-signature, which you can just draw one time on your mobile screen. That is so that if you're accepting loads or rejecting them either at the plant or out in the field, your e-signature as well as your geolocation, date and timestamp will be applied within the portal as a reference back to that truckload ticket. When you do get logged in, just to go back, if you click in the top left, you can open up your account settings. Something I like to recommend is making sure all of our job level clipboard report preferences, these boxes are all checked and flagged. We'll show what those kind of give you on a day-to-day basis. And we're really going to focus on just the critical functionality of the platform today in this training, which is viewing your material truckload tickets, at where to add your inspection notes, how to view the ticket data, and then, making sure that you, as the inspector, are verifying that this is delivered, or are you going to reject the truckload, et cetera. So that'll be the focus. And we can see that we show a contract in its own kind of bucket with a running total today of the amount of tonnage or volume. If it's concrete, we're talking cubic yardage, that has been loaded out at the plant or plants for this shift. And this is across any amount of materials. So this isn't necessarily what you all as the state have accepted out on site and used. This is just how much net weight of whether it's asphalt or aggregates or concrete has been generated at the plant site. And so if we click into your project, this is where you're going to actually live and operate throughout your shift. Let me back up actually. We have what we designate as a day shift as start all tickets for each job starting at 5 a.m. this morning all the way out to 5 p.m. this afternoon. And then if you're working a night shift, you would actually just click on the night shift time range, which will start at 5 p.m. all the way out to 4:59 a.m. the next morning. So that way you're seeing all those truckload tickets bucketed under one shift. You can actually adjust this at any point. For example, if your day shift goes past 5 p.m. or your night shift goes out later than 4:59 a.m. in the morning, then you can click this custom range here and make sure that your end time is actually encapsulating the entirety of your shift from when you actually started for the day or the night. You just apply that, and that way you know that you have all the tickets in your one shift visible. And then from there, that's when, like I had just done, you can click into your job and see every single truckload ticket for each material, starting with your load one. So the load count is the value coming from the plant for this product description, which is course mix here. You got your unique ticket ID number along with the daily total so far for this material from the plant, the date and time stamp and time zone when the ticket was created. And then this is going to be typically your hauler and then your truck ID. In this case, it looks like we're showing the truck ID twice. So that's something that we need to make sure we're aligned from the plant for the supplier, that we're getting their hauler information so on in the appropriate spot on the ticket. But generally it's hauler and then truck ID. And then you'll notice that every single ticket has a status, which by default will be pending. It's pending until the truck arrives on site, and then you, as the inspector, mark it delivered, or you go to more actions and you actually mark as rejected if you have a reason to. And if you do mark it rejected, then we will require you to put some sort of reason, as long as it's at least 5 characters. Maybe the truck never made it on site, so it's been sitting in the bucket as a pending ticket, but it's not going to arrive, so you're just going to hit reject so that the net volume of material for this ticket is not going to be considered delivered and paid upon. Now, as far as notes that you can add, you can see here you're able to actually apply your station and offset if you want. You just type that in here. You can click on the notes section, and this is where you have a plethora of fields for you to input any truck. So if you want to put an ambient temperature in here and you want to do like a field temperature, then you can add that detail, as well as if any portion of the truckload is going to be considered waste and not paid for, then to the second decimal, you can put, the value of, in this case, since it's asphalt, net tonnage. So this would say that there's 2.25 net tons of waste on this truckload ticket. So I might be accepting and marking as delivered, but I want whatever value I put in this waste field to be deducted from the net total of this ticket. And then you can see we have some other, data points that you as the inspector are able to input information on as you need or wish to, including a general notes section. And then when you're done, you just hit update. And at any point, you are able to adjust, whatever values that you put for station or under the notes section, regardless if you've marked the ticket or just at any time in general. We have an audit log that tracks all activity for every single e-ticket. But let's say I'm ready to say this ticket is delivered. We're good to go. I'm going to click mark delivered. And I'm going to get this prompt with my ticket number and then the net tonnage minus any waste that I added. And then from here, if I want, then I can go ahead and stamp my pay item code to the volume of material for this truckload ticket. So if I want to search, all my tonnage pay item codes, because this is asphalt, so I can quickly zero in on the asphalt mix that we need to code this as, then I can click that, hit select at the bottom, and then I'm going to say use net tonnage for this. and it's going to just apply all the net tonnage minus any waste in my example here, because I did mark some volume as waste. If I want, I can add a note, and then I'll hit confirm delivery. From there, you notice that load one falls out of my view, and you are seeing these tickets within minutes of them being generated at the plant. So you have visibility to all the tickets and the truck numbers that are headed your way out there on the job site well before they arrive. And so by default, we have only pending status tickets reflecting for you, so that when you're done with your inspection, it's not cluttering your view, and you're only seeing what's still left to arrive and be inspected upon. So that's the reason. But if you want, just click X on this ticket status filter. And then if you do, then you will actually keep all tickets starting with the first load out of the day at the top. And if you don't like, the first load or the oldest truckloads at the top, you can just go to the right here on this chip filter bar is kind of how we label it, and just say, I want to see all my new tickets at the top, so that you're starting with, the latest trucks that have loaded out at the plant. So that's just an option based on your preference. But by default, we keep the load one at the top, and then you would move on down as the trucks arrive on site and you do your inspections. So say, truckload number two arrives and you want to reference all the data that we are getting from the supplier, then you can actually just tap into the header of the ticket or the body of the ticket here. And that's going to drill into what we call like the raw ticket data level that shows all the data fields that we're receiving from the contractor supplier. You can minimize this to reference your weights. This is going to give you your gross, net, and tare. And then when you're in this raw ticket level of the e-ticket here, you have this audit log, which is where we track everything that happens with the digital copy whenever it's created at the plant, all the way to when it comes into our system for your visibility. And then anything I do going onward or anyone does will all be tracked here. You also have the ability to take a photo right there on site of the material or the truck or anything that would be relevant that you and others want to be able to go back and reference. Just click on photos and hit upload images. And then you can just take a photo right there. You don't have to already have it saved on your mobile device. You can just take the picture and then it'll be stamped onto your e-ticket. So when you're kind of in this lower level or more granular level of the ticket where you can see the raw data, you can still do everything that we were able to do on the initial project view and a little bit higher level of your truckload tickets. And so if I want to hit mark delivered here, I can. And we're going to have, after you've pay coded one ticket, we're going to have it saved at the top so that you're not constantly going to search through the list of pay item codes. And if you do need to, maybe there's multiple mix types, then we'll keep your filter. Like if you only wanted your tonnage, pay item codes for your asphalt project to be in your view, then that will stick because we're getting all contract items from Headlight for each project. So there's going to be a lot, but that's why we have these filters for you to quickly dial into the pay item that you need to stamp onto it, any ticket that you're accepting. So I'm going to select my pay item code. I'm going to just use the total, weight of the material for this truckload ticket, and then hit confirm delivery. And then if I, within this view, go to my inspector review tab, this is where I see, my name, my e-signature, the date and time out in the field. There's a map that will take a look for some projects on the website wherever all the truckloads are accepted, it's kind of a running visual of the project and the progression of it on a map view. And then if I need to at any point, I can still go and add my temperatures or add any other inspection information that I need to here. as well as if I go back, then I can still
Oh,
access
there
the
it is.
ticket. Oh, I think someone's mic came off mute. Um, if I come out to here, then I'm still able to access that ticket and also, you know, input any notes from the higher level of the ticket view. One thing I will note is that you don't necessarily have to pay code your ticket in order to accept it out on the mobile app out in the field. If you do, then that saves you the time of going back and doing that. But there is a way to, do this at a bulk view level on the website, which we'll cover. But if you hit mark delivered, you can just skip this. Maybe if you want, you can just hit flag because on the web side of the portal that everyone will have access to, you want to reference a flag ticket for any reason, really. But if you always want to make sure that there's a specific ticket that maybe you want to split this out across two different pay items, which, by the way, you can do on the mobile side as well as the web. But maybe you don't want to worry about pay coding then and there. You can just flag your ticket so that you know to go back to the flag tickets if there was a reason to, that you could also leave a special note. So that's just one thing just to keep in mind. But would encourage you guys to play with this and be pay coding on the mobile side just to get your feedback and also just get you to the used to doing it and maneuvering through the mobile app while you're out there receiving those trucks in. So I will reject this ticket just to go through that prompt all the way. If you go to more actions, you know that this truck isn't going to show up, or it brought the wrong mix, or the temperature is just way off, and you're going to send it back. Then you would just click more actions, hit mark rejected, and then just hit reject one more time. And then now the net weight of this truckload ticket will be considered rejected. And when you run your daily delivery report, which we'll get into, or your finals report, this tonnage will be flagged and not considered, delivered and pay coded, and thus what you would be paying out on. One thing to note, if you are working a project with multiple material types being ticketed and you want to dial in on all the tickets for just one, then just click this materials chip filter. And in this case, there's only course mix being ticketed. But if there was this plus wrap plus some other mix type, then you would be able to just select the one product, that you want to see the e-tickets for. If I move up to the top to what we call ticket reports, this is where in your account settings, where I was mentioning checking those boxes, will give you some additional reporting. So this is a nice kind of summary that's live and being updated while you're out there doing your inspection. You're going to have a project overview at all times that it'll give you your total net volume of material that's been ticketed at the plant, that you can still filter on by material if you wish. But then out of the total ticketed, material weight or cubic yardage, etc., you'll see what you've actually accepted and marked as delivered versus rejected versus marked as waste, and what's still pending and technically probably on the road, or just waiting to be inspected. We also have a delivery report, which shows your truck ID based on all the truck numbers that we're getting on the tickets. So this will be your entire truck lineup. Spanning from left to right is how many loads each truck has picked up from the plant, and whether it's green and been accepted and delivered by you all as the inspectors, or rejected, or the gray time clock symbol is if it's still in pending status. There's some other reports. They're mostly pretty straightforward, but these are just kind of nice to haves to a large extent. And I just want to make sure you all are aware, because some of you may like to utilize this more than others. it's not like it's crucial that you go in and look at these necessarily, but it's good to be aware of. So if you want to see a load time report with the blue highlighted as the last truck that's loaded out, then you can see that. And if you, for any of these reports, you can click on the data point and it'll bring up that load ticket number, et cetera, that you can then select. And that'll take you to that raw ticket data level of the e-ticket, as well as, you can mark it delivered, add your notes under more actions, and then go back and operate from this type of view if you wish to. And then if you want to view, just a summary of if there were multiple mixes, how many tickets and net volume for that material, you would see that breakdown here listed out from top to bottom. Going across, a lot of these features up here are kind of additional to the critical functionality of just marking your tickets and doing your inspections. But if you wish to log samples and track those in the portal, then you can just click log sample, select your material, and then choose the ticket and truckload ticket that you want to reference. You can then add some detail around, what type of sample are you doing? What time are you recording this sample? And then here, I know for asphalt, the lot number should be provided by the supplier and contractor, but we have that field available to input. And then if you want to take a picture, an image of this sample, then you can, as well as, we'll plot your geolocation and, your name will be stamped as being the person who sampled it. And then if you want to add any notes for the lab or QC folks who have access and can view all the bucketed samples for each project, or if they have access and they're looking at the tickets in this project, then they'll see that referenced by you along with the sample information. And so that'll be tracked throughout your shift. And if you want to keep taking samples or recording those for other truckloads of material, then you could just click new sample at the bottom left. So you might have a work zone already created for your project, but if you wanted to create one, then that will actually transmit every day that the job is ticketed going forward. You just create it once by hitting, you would have a button and a prompt here if there hadn't been one set up yet that would say create work zone. But if you just hit this plus button here at the top in this case, then this is where you can put in your road name that you're working, designate this as a work zone area, dictate which direction that it's headed. And then you could actually set your boundary from the mobile app, which will zero in to your location if you're out there on site. And then you can just pinpoint by hitting start, where your work zone is going to be. Just once you're ready to select the starting location, just hit set. And then you can just kind of use your finger on your mobile device app to draw that out along with the line or in a line with the road that you're working. And then once that's done, just hit next and finish. And then what that would do is set up a work zone. I'm not going to actually do that because it'll transmit on this active project. But this is what would allow you to actually have a work zone created. And whenever tickets are happening for the job and you're marking those out in that work zone area and we're grabbing your geolocation, then that will be transmitting to the general public that there's active workers present. Moving across, if you want to take a general image and not one specific to an e-ticket that's attached and tied to an e-ticket, then you can with this general photo section here. Same instance, just hit upload, but really you can just take the image. You don't have to have it saved on your device already. And then I'm going to skip over these next two to report issues. And so this is very important that if you don't see a single or multiple tickets or there's an issue that you want to let not just HaulHub, but the supplier of the ticket data, aware of, then you can just go to this report issue button here and just hit report a new issue. Walk through the prompts. Maybe there's tickets missing. We'll have some of this pre-selected since we've already seen information for your project in this case. So here's the supplier. Which plan is it coming from? And then that's all the required prompts that we need. But if the contractor is not the same as the producer of the material, or it's just one ticket, if you're able to give us that ticket number, then that's great. But if not, it's okay. You can submit this issue, and once you do, it'll be considered reported. And then our team, along with the supplier, will get notified, and then we'll move that to from reported to acknowledged to work in progress and to resolved. And throughout these different phases, you'll be able to click in and see notes from our customer support team. And then kind of last but not least to cover here is our offline mode. So this is if you're working a job site where your device isn't going to have signal, or for one day or maybe halfway through your shift, you're moving into an area that has already had weak signal and now there's none, then you're going to be able to still log your ticket information digitally, but you will still need to obtain the paper copy from the driver in that case, because we need to know what the last four digits of that unique ticket ID number is. And going from there, you don't need the paper copy anymore. You can then just input within the app. Is this going to be accepted and delivered? Yes. Do I want to add my temperatures and everything? Any general notes, then you'll have that available, and then you'll create the tickets throughout your shift so long as you don't have internet, and that those will all be bucketed and sitting in a queue with all the information that you attach to it. And as soon as your device comes back into Signal, then we know which tickets to send all of your statuses and notes to based on the last four digits of that unique ticket number that you input from that paper copy. And that way you don't have to go back into the portal after your shift's over and input all this information that maybe you would have wrote down on the paper. You'll know that all the tickets, synced up when you're done with your shift, or you come back into Signal, because they'll all be bucketed here with the count, and then they will all transmit to the sent bucket automatically. One thing to note too is that if you in our system have a area manager role status or a field engineer role status, and you need to add someone like on the fly the day of for a job, then you can do that by clicking this button in your project. My phone has a weak signal right now. So apologies for the delay here, but this is where you're going to be able to see who all has access for the job. And if you want to add more, just click this button. And then if you scroll down past everyone who already has access, this is where you can, and you can just search, first name, last name, or email. This is where you can add anyone else who has an account set up in our portal to this project specifically. So I'm going to back out of that project and just kind of emphasize that in order, if you need to report an issue or log an offline ticket where you're not seeing your job, then you can do that. The report issue page on the mobile side is this green plant symbol. If you're not seeing data, you can also operate from this side of the app. And then if you're offline from the get-go on day one, you're not going to see your project appear here to click into to begin with. So you can click what would say offline automatically based on your phone device's signal. And if you just click this, then this is what allows you to input that ticket information in the app when you don't have signal. Any questions? That's really it for the mobile side. Before we jump over to the web side of the portal. All right. In that case, I'll jump over to the website. Oh, I see. One just came through. Dwayne making adjustments for overloaded trucks. So if you want to make an adjustment for an overloaded truck, meaning that you're going to not pay for the portion of the truck that's overloaded, whenever you are able to validate how much you need to remove from the accepted amount of material for a single ticket, then just go to that truckload ticket and you can mark it as waste. Or in the event that you are going to use that material, the waste will deduct it from the total net tonnage of that truck. But then also, if you were to mark the ticket delivered, then what you would do is once you apply your pay item, you could say use net. And if the truck was overloaded by 2 tons or 2.12 tons, then you could just make that adjustment here as well. And then just hit confirm delivery. And then that way, the amount that you're actually accepting that will be summarized in the reports. The finals reports won't include whatever tonnage that reduced from that truckload ticket. And you can do this at any point on the mobile or back on the website. So if you need time, or like in the case where maybe they need to send a truck back and reweigh, and validate like how much that you guys weren't going to accept, then you can go and make this adjustment at any point. It's not like you have to do it right then and there. In your example, though, whenever you would figure out what the overloaded amount is, then that's when you can come, input here or under the waste field, the total in this case, or in the waste section, how much needs to be reduced. I just want to double check. Is that does that help or answer your question, Dwayne? Awesome. And I encourage everyone to get out there and using this. You can't break anything by marking tickets, or if you fat finger a ticket or a note, everything you can go back and do again. For example, like for this load one, there's always a running audit log from the moment a ticket's created from the supplier's system to everything that happens to it. Any you can go back and adjust the data that you are inputting on this as the inspector. Um, and it's always going to be here as far as the history of tracking goes. So, but it's a new system. So if you end up, getting used to it and need to go back and adjust or figure it out, there's no harm that you can do. So you'll generate more questions as you're using this out in the field, and then point those to Les and I, and we'll make sure that we assist in answering that or resolving any issues. So the access for every single user that replicates all the project information on the website, you just go to our e-dot.com website to sign in. And once you do, then you're going to come to your portal where you're going to see, similarly to the mobile app, you're going to see like a project card. And you're going to get more information, obviously, because there's more room to operate with. So in this case, we can see who all's staffed on a project at a high level if you just click the staff button. And then if you see this orange symbol, that means that they've been active today or in the current 24-hour period. You can also see, which material suppliers are materials being sourced from for a project, or multiple, if there were multiple, along with all the materials here. Again, any time you see this fire symbol, that means that it's actively being ticketed today. So if we click into here, Then we're going to get some information. First off, we're going to have a running total of every status of ticket by the ticket count. So if we want to see all of our delivered tickets so far, then you can click this delivered bucket on this project. And this tickets page or flex grid, as we call it, is customizable for each individual user. So my columns I have set starting with date all the way to DOT inspector. Those are controlled by myself at any point. Whatever is visible from top to bottom will be that order there. If I want to hide any of these field columns and bring in, another one, maybe I want to bring in load count or load number, then I can put that here from the visible side or from the hidden side to my visible side, hit save. And now I have the load count for each day for the project in my view by default when I log in and out for any project. In addition, if I want to sort things by date, then I can do that. And then expand on, all my tickets for any one given date. If I want to click select all, then this is where I can bulk code by materials. These ones have already been coded, so there's no need to do that. But this is also where you could download your slips as a CSV Excel or a PDF, which both will be one file. The PDF will have a page for each truckload ticket. But let me go to, let's see. Let me clear my pay codes that I did in my sample tickets here. I'm going to clear all those at once. And now this is where at the end of your shift, if you weren't pay coding your tickets out there on the field, then you can go back and select all your tickets that you would have marked delivered and then hit code by materials here. And so you got your ticket number, your net quantity minus any waste, and then you can do a drop down. And this is where you can go filter. In this case, it's asphalt. So I know I want my tonnage pay item codes. Whoops. And then this is where I can apply one and just hit apply to all. If you have 100 tickets, if you hit apply all, if it's all going to be under one pay code for that shift, then it'll quickly apply that. And then I want to use all my net tonnages minus any waste that I input and drag that on, drop that down. And then from there, I've pay coded all my tickets. If I want, I can leave a special note here as well, along with just hitting apply so that I lock in the quantities for each truckload ticket under the pay item code that I designate. The one good thing about this page as well is that if you want to group more than one column, I was able to drag and drop the date header. And if I cancel that out, then it's just going to structure every single ticket in a line item that I can click and pop open all the information, including the weights. If I had stamped those pay codes, they would show here. And then this is the information that, I would have input with all my notes that if I need to, I can go to more actions and from the web, edit those notes and add any other data that I might need to. If we go look at tickets prior to today for this job, we can see that there was an inspector mark here adding a station. He was putting width, lot number, looks like a running lot total, along with some notes here. And so anyone can go back and reference, the audit log as well for any ticket on the website. I'm actually going to go back to the tickets that I marked. And so I don't forget, I'm going to select all. Okay, I did put them back in the pending status. Good. Nope. When you're in your project, so that was in a certain bucket of status tickets. If you want, you can also view a map that will show where the tickets are being marked and received in at. So if you guys are receiving these out on the roadway, then that is preferred because that's going to give the state the ability to see where all those tickets are being marked. Moving on down, there's some reports that you can automate. So if you want to hit create report and you want to hit click auto send and input your email, and once you do, just hit enter and save. Then you can designate what time each day that you want a daily summary PDF report to send to your email. And it will envelop all the truckload tickets that were inspected between this time range that you designate. So by default, it's showing like a 24-hour time range essentially. You can designate this time, and then if the project runs, you'll receive a report the next day or whatever time that you designate here, summarizing and listing out every single truckload ticket that you inspected. And if it doesn't run, then you're not going to get an email. And what that kind of looks like, if we go to June 3rd, say for this job, you can manually see what this download it at any point as well. And then if I pop that open, then this is going to be June 3rd for this job. There were 27 loads of this course mix that were marked as delivered for 564, net tons. 10 tickets are still in pending from this day. Nothing was rejected or marked as waste. And then the line item pay code quantity for all tickets were marked under this total running quantity that was delivered. And then if you scroll down, then you will see starting with the first truckload ticket, load one here, some high level information along with the timestamp. And this would be the net quantity that was accepted by the inspector for this shift here. So some of these columns are user or inspector input columns. So, he didn't mark a station for every ticket, but the ones he did, you're able to see here, along with temperatures, this lot, etc. So that's going to be a daily summary report, including your night shifts, obviously. If you want to run more of like a finals report across a range of days instead of just one day, then you are able to go to the finals report option and hit create. You can choose any of these options. I prefer by supplier, by material, because it'll be one Excel file with a tab in that file for each material. Then if you select only delivered tickets and you say, okay, I want to see our running total of ticketed quantities that we've received starting in June to current, then I'm going to say June 1 to June 5. And then I'm going to say, midnight starting on June 1 all the way out to the current timestamp. And then I'm going to download that. And so what that's going to show is your project. You can see there's a tab called course mix down here, but if there were multiple materials, they would be tabbed out. So then that so far in June, you have received 47 loads for about 1,000 net tons of this mix, along with these columns and information starting with the last ticket received on down here. Or sorry, I would say starting with the first ticket received in June all the way down. And so the finals report is good to see the progression if you want to do a monthly, check or a biweekly check of your running total and total net count of loads for each material, then that's what you'll use the finals report for. The delivery report would be, your daily summaries that you can have automated sent to your email via PDF. if you guys are marking your tickets out there, then there are some reports that you can utilize that are AI driven. So in this case, the last date this was run was 6/4. Nothing was pay coded, but I believe I can just have this ran uh, for 6/3, but it'll automatically like lay out and it'll kind of tell you like this is a asphalt ticket tally report. So for June 3rd, it'll give you your ticket number, your load number, your total tonnage, um, total tons, sublot tons, station, temps if they were recorded, etc. You would see that here. But there's other reports as well that we can turn on for your projects that would summarize, some additional detail in addition to the daily delivery report. And I think that's pretty much it for this session. Was there any questions around the web portion, or if something's popped into anyone's mind on the mobile side, I can pop that back up as well.
Looks like you must have covered it all, Sean.
Yeah, well, I would love to do another one, maybe later in the season too, or whenever, but once you guys start using this, then that's when it's really going to generate more questions. So, and just encourage everybody to get out there and start marketing tickets so that, you can kind of see the value that, you can get from the automated reports, and just the constant reference that you can come back into our portal and track your progress for your projects.
We appreciate it, and I want everybody to know. So we did one of these a couple weeks ago. It has already been uploaded to the construction YouTube page. If you need to go back and view that one, I will probably also get this one on there as well, just so we have two different versions, and you can go back to the one you attended. And also, for those of you that have never logged in, so HaulHub syncs the information over from Headlight. So if you have a Headlight account, you are automatically in the HaulHub system. And all you have to do is go to the app or the web portal, input your email address, and then hit or select forgot password, and then it'll, prompt you to create your account there. And also they sync over all the project information. So when a project is created in Headlight, it automatically appears in HaulHub. And so there, on occasion we might have to set something up to get the project going. You can shoot an email over to the DOTD e-construction email, and Donna from our group usually handles that for you. We do have a question that just popped up from Will. So for concrete tickets, is there a way to have some of the notes copied onto multiple tickets, such as lot number, mixed use, etc.? When a pour that requires many loads of concrete, it would be easier if we would not have to enter the same information over and over. Example, if I'm paving concrete roadway for a mile on the SB frontage road in lot 44, this pour may require over 1,000 yards of concrete, which would be 100 plus tickets. Just looking at that wheel before I even finished reading it, I think that would be something. Did you see the part where Sean was going in and adding stuff to multiple tickets, like in the more of like a spreadsheet view? Sean, you might have to help me with the terminology on what you actually call it there, but where you can edit multiple tickets at once.
Well, it'd probably help if I unmute. Yeah, so if you want to select all and hit code by materials, well, that would not be a day that those are all coded. So one sec here. We go to
So is there a way to add, Sean, I think what he's asking, is there a way to add like the notes to multiple, like any of the inspection notes to multiple tickets instead of one by one?
Yeah, that's a good call out. So we do have the ability, you can see here. I should be sharing the screen. Let me know if I'm
Yeah,
not less.
you are. Yep.
When you go into your project and you go to manage tickets, whether that's pending ones or it's delivered, you can select all and you are able to mark tickets a certain way. But we don't have a notes one. Well, there is a notes one actually. I'll have to follow up on that one actually. You think we can do that? I need to understand myself as to why this isn't enabled right now. And if I can get that figured out for you, we do have the ability, as you can see here, when I select one. So, that might be some work that I need to get with our product team to make sure that this is capable whenever you're selecting more than one ticket. Because to your point, that would be a big help and save you a lot of time. And that's what we want to do. So I will look into making sure that this add note functionality can be capable when you select multiple tickets so that you can just type it once and then apply it to all of those. As of right now, at least in this very instant, it looks like for some reason we have that being turned off as soon as you select more than one ticket on the web here after your shift, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what we were talking about because sometimes it's like we're hand copying notes over to every single ticket, like when we do the paper versions. And so since we're digital now, we shouldn't have to do that anymore. So that'd be great. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question and call out.
Thanks for the question, Will. And then he also had a follow-up with the numbers on trucks. So whenever we put in, so when we did the e-ticketing spec, this came up. And I believe there's some language in there that the number on the ticket has to be easily, I don't exactly remember what it says, but it has to be like easily identifiable in the field. So if you're seeing trucks that come out there where you can't identify it quickly from the ticket, let us know. You should be able to. So whatever number is on the truck should be on the ticket, if that makes sense. And then we also have another question. There is an LADOTD project for testing, so you can play around on it, and it gets tickets in there pretty regular. Sean, can you navigate over to the LADOTD testing project just so we can show them what name it is? I forget exactly which one it is. Yep, that's the LADOTD test project. So when you log in, you should have access to that. And it is actually great. That's where I kind of got a feel for how to use that myself. I just got out one day and there was a bunch of tickets in there, marked them delivered, added some photos, just trying to figure out how to do it. It actually works well.
Yeah, I definitely encourage you guys to do that. That way you can get a good feel and generate some more questions without being on an active project or but prior to. I realized I was off on mute again. But going back to the truck number, if you go to your project, you click all tickets. Then what I was able to do and what you can do is if the truck identifier field that we're getting on all tickets isn't set as a column in your view, just log into the tickets page in your project or the test project, and then just make sure this is all alphabetical. So if you go down to all the ticketed fields that start with a T, you'll see truck, pull it and drag it up to whatever order you want. And then you can see for each ticket number what the coinciding truck ID is that's coming from the plant, batch plant, or in the concrete's case. And then, if obviously that, hey, load one for the day or whatever day, you definitely couldn't tell that it said ZGVC226, then that's where the supplier and contractor need to be called out for not having that visible on the truck.
Yep, good deal. Thanks for that one, Sean.
Yep.
All right, any other questions before we wrap up? Okay, I'm gonna take that as note. We appreciate you, Sean. Thanks for going over that with us, and hopefully we'll have this up on the page soon. Oh, we just got one. We'll hit us again. We have an existing project 5 days ago. Yeah, you're allowed to use it. Even if it's not spec'd out, you can still use HaulHub. Like that's fine. In fact, for those of you who have a project where there is not it does not have the e-ticketing spec in it, you can still use the e-ticketing. You'll still be getting paper tickets on the job, but you can do both. I actually recommend that because it's a better way, or it feels like a safer way to learn e-ticketing because you still got your paper tickets until you get it figured out. But then, yeah, you can continue to go with the e-tickets. All right, thanks everybody. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Appreciate it again, Sean.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it, y'all.
Thanks.